I am Reed, just a normal 27-year-old guy talking about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. So, let us talk about the elephant in the room, the sacred cow of personal finance, the supposed cornerstone of the American dream, homeownership. Now, before anyone gets their pitchforks out or starts furiously typing comments about how I am throwing my money away, let me preface this by saying I am not anti-homeownership, not entirely, but I am fiercely anti-dumb financial decisions. And right now, buying a home for many of us is one of the dumbest financial decisions you can make. It's not about owning a roof over your head. It is about the numbers, the cold, hard, brutal numbers. And those numbers right now are screaming at me to rent and invest, not buy. You see, society, bless its well-meaning but often misguided heart, has a very specific script for us. Go to college, get a good degree, land a high-paying job, and then immediately buy a house, start a family. It is the prescribed path to success. The UV made it badge of honor, and along with that script comes a constant barrage of advice. You need to buy a house in your 20s. It is the best asset you can have. Real estate always goes up, and the ever-popular, mind-numbingly simplistic, renting is just throwing money away. As if the only alternative to renting is buying a mansion with cash. These are the sound bites of financial illiteracy perpetuated by people who either don't understand how money actually works or who have a vested interest in keeping you in the dark. I've done my research, I've crunched the numbers, and what I've come to realize, what I've seen with my own eyes, is that owning a home is not always the financially superior choice, especially when home prices are inflated beyond all reason and interest rates are at levels that make your eyes water. This isn't some complex calculus, it is basic arithmetic, yet so many people blinded by the dream refuse to even look at the spreadsheet. They just sign on the dotted line, strap themselves into a 30-year financial roller coaster, and hope for the best. Hope is not an investment strategy, my friends. It's a recipe for regret. Let me give you a personal example, because I believe in showing, not just telling. I am currently working, I might get promoted soon, which means relocating. And I've been wrestling with this exact dilemma, buy or rent. Let's say I move to a new state and I want a starter home. Nothing fancy, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, built in 1965. The kind of place that screams modest and functional, that would set me back around $400,000. And if I put down 10%, $40,000. A significant chunk of change from my $150,000 total assets, mind you, with current interest rates hovering around 7%. My 30-year mortgage payment alone would be about $2,400 a month, but that is just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? Then you add property taxes, which seem to magically increase every year, insurance, because God forbid your starter home burns down and you are left with nothing. And then the sneaky, soul-sucking phantom costs of maintenance, a new water heater here, a leaky roof there, a furnace that decides to die in the middle of winter. These are not hypothetical expenses. These are inevitable. Ongoing financial drains, easily adding another $800 to $1,000 a month. Suddenly, that modest $400,000 home is costing me around $3,200 a month every single month for 30 years. For a place that has already seen better days, that's over $38,000 a year just to have a roof over my head. And that doesn't even count the opportunity cost of that $40,000 down payment. It is a financial commitment that demands subservience, that restricts your choices, that keeps you on the hamster wheel. Now, let's compare that to renting in the exact same area, a comparable 2-bedroom apartment, perfectly livable, perhaps. Even with amenities, I wouldn't get in that 1965 starter home. Would cost around $1,800 a month, including utilities. That is a difference of $1,400 per month, $1,400 every single month that I am not throwing away, that I am not sending to the bank, that I am not spending on leaky pipes or rising property taxes. Instead, that $1,400 goes straight into my investment accounts. It goes into Vote. It goes into CHD. It maxes out my Roth IRA. It fuels my long-term growth assets. This isn't complex. This is just smart. This is just looking at the numbers and choosing the path that actually builds wealth. Let us play this out over 5 years. If I consistently invest that $1,400 a month, which is $16,800 a year, at a historically conservative 8% annual return. After 5 years, I have over $103,000, not just invested capital, but capital plus gains, growing, compounding, working tirelessly for my financial freedom. Now, if I had bought that house after 5 years, I would have paid mostly interest, because that is how mortgages work. The first decade or two, you are primarily paying interest. The bank is getting rich, not you. I might have $60,000 to $70,000 in theoretical equity, assuming the housing market continues its upward trajectory, which, as we've seen, is far from guaranteed, and that equity is illiquid. It is tied up in a house. It is not readily available to invest in the next big opportunity. It is not paying me dividends. It is just sitting there, a number on a piece of paper, subject to the whims of the market. And let us not forget the other, often ignored benefits of renting: zero maintenance costs. Think about that for a second. A pipe bursts, the AC dies, The oven gives up the ghost, not my problem. It is the landlord's problem. My financial capital remains intact, ready to be deployed, not drained by unexpected home repairs, and then there is the unparalleled flexibility. If I take this job and decide I hate the city, I can move. I can pack my bags, break my lease, and be gone. No endless months of trying to sell a house, no agent fees, no price drops, no stress. If a better job opportunity arises in another state, I can seize it, no questions asked. The homeowner, on the other hand, is geographically handcuffed. They retied to their investment, often unable to chase new opportunities because of the immense financial burden of selling and buying. That is not freedom. That is a self-imposed prison. I hear the common refrains, the tired arguments, renting is throwing money away, your rent can go up, and yes, rent can increase. Just as property taxes can increase, just as insurance premiums can increase, just as maintenance costs can skyrocket. The idea that homeownership provides some magical financial stability is a myth. Both options have variable costs, but one, renting, allows me to control my capital, to invest it strategically, to maintain liquidity, and to remain agile. The other, buying, locks up my capital, exposes me to significant unpredictable expenses, and restricts my freedom of movement. It is not about throwing money away. It is about choosing where your money works hardest for you. The brutal truth, and this is where it gets really uncomfortable for those clinging to the past. Home values in America have shot up over 40% nationally since 2020. Mortgage rates have doubled, and who is benefiting from this? Big investors, big banks. They regobbling up starter homes, turning them into rentals, driving up prices, and making it harder for the average person to buy. They recreating a landlord class and a tenant class, and then they lecture you about the importance of homeownership. It is a classic example of do as I say, not as I do. They replaying a different game, a game where they profit from your desire to fit into their outdated narrative. I refuse to play that game. I refuse to be a pawn in someone else's financial strategy. Many people, especially in my age group, have been conditioned to believe that wealth is synonymous with real estate. You are not truly wealthy. You haven't truly made it unless you own a house. You could have a 7-figure stock portfolio generating passive income, giving you financial freedom. But if you don't have a deed to a house, you are somehow seen as less successful. It is a ridiculous, outdated perception that prioritizes outward appearances over actual financial security and freedom. True wealth comes from assets that generate income, that compound over time, that are liquid and flexible. It comes from owning a piece of the most innovative companies in the world, not from being a glorified property manager for a money pit. Right now, my focus is on income, producing assets, stocks, ETFs, things that actually put money in my pocket, not drain it. I'd rather build a robust, diversified portfolio that generates passive income and grows exponentially over time than be burdened by a massive mortgage. Unable to contribute meaningfully to my Roth IRA or 401k, unable to capitalize on market opportunities. Being house poor is a terrifying prospect. A life spent stressed about the next repair bill, the next property tax hike, the next interest rate increase. That is not the life I want. That is not freedom. That is just another form of servitude. So for now, I am unequivocally choosing to rent and aggressively invest that significant monthly difference. Not because I've given up on the idea of owning a home someday, I haven't, but because I refuse to buy into a market that is clearly unsustainable. I refuse to make an emotional decision. When the numbers are screaming otherwise, I am building wealth on my terms through consistent, boring, disciplined investing. Because that is the path to true financial freedom, to true generational wealth. Not chasing an inflated, illiquid asset that demands constant financial sacrifice. It is about being strategically lazy, letting my money work harder than I do, and avoiding unnecessary complexity, because complexity in finance is often just a smokescreen for inefficiency and lost opportunity. I want to hear from all of you, regardless of where you live. What are your thoughts on this whole renting versus buying debate right now? Especially if you are in your 20s or 30s. Am I seeing this clearly, or am I missing something fundamental? Because at the end of the day, we all just trying to navigate this financial maze. We all just trying to build a solid foundation for our future. So please drop your thoughts, your experiences, your perspectives in the comments below. Hit that like button if this perspective resonated with you, or if you've been grappling with these same questions. Let me know if you are currently renting, saving for a home, or if you are like me, choosing to invest aggressively instead. I genuinely want to hear your stories and your journeys, and I hope this gives you something to think about. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you.